and help you understand Bitcoin and cryptocurrency and hundreds of altcoins. Also, as I'm learning about ICOs, those are initial coin offerings, I'll be posting information on my blog and website and on my Facebook account and on my email list if you want to get subscribed to my email list. And I will try to keep you updated on what I learn. And I'm new to this. I started in December, the middle of December, I think around the 17th. I got a phone call from my ex-wife, my most wonderful ex-wife. I have two of them. She wanted to know if I knew anything about Bitcoin. A friend of hers had asked about it. And I said, well, I've heard of it, but mostly in the context of the dark web and that hackers were using Bitcoin to extort money out of people. But I said I would research it and see, and what I found was amazing. I mean, amazing. In December 17th, I think it was, of 2017, the price of a single coin, one single Bitcoin, had exceeded $19,000. It was getting pretty close to $20,000. And then as I looked at the chart, back in November, it was $3,000 or $4,000. Trace it all the way back to January, and it was under $1,000. It was around 700, I think. Now, had I bought Bitcoin any time during 2017, before November, December time frame, I would have done real well had I known to sell it at its peak, which was a 19. Of course, I didn't get involved buying anything. Now, for me to learn something, I got to get in there and do it, like the Nike T-shirt says. You know, do it, just do it. I had an instructor one time. His name's Kenneth Dunn, and he's an electronics instructor. And he said, if you want to really be good at something, you got to just get in there and do it and breathe, eat, drink, live it, you know, and just with passion. And I really took that to heart. I'll tell you a little story later about how I got into the microcomputer business back in 1975. And I see a great similarity between what happened back then, 75, 6, 7, till 78, when computer manufacturers started selling fully assembled computers. But during that development period, it was revolutionary. People were putting out kit of parts, and people like Bill Gates were leaving Harvard and going to Albuquerque, New Mexico, and convincing the owner of Altair computers that they needed to have a programming language, and Bill could write that for him. And what Bill really meant was that Dartmouth University already had a programming language called BASIC, Beginner's All-Purpose Symbolic Instruction Code, and that he could port that off of a PDP-11 computer, a mini computer, onto the Altair. And he did it. Bill, that's how Microsoft started, was by creating a BASIC version of BASIC that was, get this, 8K in size. And it was on paper tape. Bill used a teletypewriter, I think an ASR 33. Usually Western Electric used, Western Union used teletypewriters to wire transfer money. They're the biggest company in the world that transfers money. What's happening with the digital currency, the cryptocurrency, being decentralized, is bringing about a revolution to the worldwide currency markets. It's so much different than the stock market. You know, stock market opens at 9, closes at 4:30 or 5. It has a set time, start, stop. Trading gets too wild, they stop the market. They have a lot of controls in the market, built into the market. Holidays, it's off, it's closed. Cryptocurrency is 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year, an extra day for leap year. It never stops, or at least it's not supposed to. I mean, maybe an exchange gets hacked, or they have a system crash or something, but for the most part, it's up all the time. And now that brings me to what this topic is about, is how do you track your cryptos? I'm not going to tell you on this session how to go about buying them. I'm assuming you already have some. Like, for example, my shirt here is showing the crypto holdings that I had when I first started this. This was a few weeks ago. And my total holdings were 66 cryptos when I had this shirt made. A funny story about the shirt. The shirt manufacturer got in touch with me and said, you will need to have written permission from every single one of those 66 companies that have their logos on here. So I started going through Bitcoin first, and they said, oh, no, it's public domain. You can use our logo any way you want. There's certain guidelines, but no, you can use it. You don't have to have written permission. And Ethereum, they had guidelines, but yeah, you could use it. So I did not have to contact every one of the 66 to get their permission. Finally, the t-shirt manufacturer said, okay, we understand. It's open source. It's public domain. And that is the very essence of the blockchain, which is the underlying structure of most of the cryptocurrencies. When Bitcoin was created, along with it came the blockchain. And if you want to create your own coin, you can go out to a site called GitHub. That's GITHUB.com. I think it's a .com. Could be a .org. But GitHub, and you can download the source code for creating a crypto coin. And you can create your own. You can write a white paper. You can put up a website. You can have an initial coin offering. You can have a crowdfunding event, and you can launch your crypto coin. Some are not even serious. There's one called Doge, D-O-G-E. I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right or not. I call it Doge first, but I heard somebody else call it Doge. But it's a complete fake, a funny thing, just a humorous thing. Guy said, oh, I think I'll make a crypto coin, and I'll call it Doggy. and it went up in value, it came down in value, it's been going up and down, up and down. But that brings me back again. How do you track this stuff? In my situation, I started with Coinbase, which is the oldest US-based, most reliable one, and they accept cash. A lot of the exchanges will not accept cash, or fiat, they call it. So I started with a credit card, like $200, I think, was my initial buy. And then I was very, very cautious. I wanted to know, okay, how do I get my money back into my bank account? And then I set up a whole separate bank account. This is some good advice that Lee gave me, is don't mix that stuff, the crypto purchasing, with your own personal stuff. So I went to a different bank, set up a whole different checking account, savings account. Free, of course. I'm over 60 or 62, so it was a free account. I got to maintain, like $1,500 in it, but for the most part, it's free. And then, I transferred. I think I transferred $600 to start with, just as a test. Okay, from my bank to Coinbase. I want to see how long does that take. Well, it took a week to 10 days. There's some holidays in that time frame. So I thought that's kind of slow, but that's the way our banking system is today. And that's one of the things that the digital currency is changing. It's making it so that, Coinbase, their primary one they sell is Bitcoin, which was the original thing, but now Ethereum is faster. Litecoin, the newer coins are designed to be faster transactions. And there's one now called Lightning that promises to allow so fast transactions you'll be able to drive through Starbucks and beep, hold up your phone just like you do now with PayPal or Apple Pay or whatever those are, and pay for your transaction using Bitcoin or some cryptocurrency. That the transaction, they call them micro transactions or mini transactions, that they will happen very, very fast. They'll be very small amounts of money, and that is going to be changing. That's going to be world changing when that starts happening. Now, as a business, if I want to start accepting cryptocurrency, you know what I do? I go out on the web and I print me up a little sign that says, I accept Bitcoin. And it even comes with a little QR code so the person can just hold their phone up with a free app and beep, and transfer money from their account into to the business owner's account. And it can happen quickly. I'd never used these QR codes. I'd seen them before, but I thought, no, give it a try. I put one on, or put two on my business card, one on front, one on back. And what I did is I made the QR code link to my blog, so you don't have to type out the dash CryptoMan.com.roughneckvintage.com to get to my site. You just point your phone at the QR code on my business card and beep. Then I put one on the back of my shirt. They said, no, it won't work. It won't work on fabric. But it does. It works. Now, it probably won't work after it's been washed a few times. But the new technology is just unbelievable. My old coffee pot quit working last week. And I thought, oh boy. I really liked it. It was a K-cup. It was very small. And it was called a Chefman, C-H-E-F-M-A-N. And so I'm a fix-it guy. So 3 o'clock in the morning, I'm in here with a hammer and chisel breaking my old coffee pot apart. I live in a condo, so I got neighbors above me and beside me. So I'm making all kinds of noise trying to get this thing apart. And they just don't make things to be repaired anymore. And after I got it apart, I couldn't find a place to buy the heating element. And I wasn't even sure that was the problem. So I decided, okay, I'll go to Walmart, I'll buy a Keurig, which is the brand name for K-Cups. And so I got one. It was like $68. Got it home, took up twice as much space as my little Chefman did. It was slower to make coffee. I just didn't like it. So I went on Best Buy's website and I found a Chefman. But get this, the Chefman was not like mine. Mine had a reservoir on the back that held 2 or 3 cups of water. This one only makes 1 cup at a time. So you pour the amount in you want to brew. If you want a half cup, you put in a half cup. Then you put your K-cup in, you close it, you push the one button. One button. My other one had 3. You know, one to turn it on, one for a big cup, one for a little cup. This one button. And get this, it has Bluetooth. Bluetooth. It's Bluetooth enabled. Why? Well, I thought that's silly. Well, you can play music through your coffee maker. It's got 2 little stereo speakers. Sounds pretty decent. You know what else you can do? You can make speakerphone calls through my coffee maker. Now, I don't know why I would do that, but it works. It works. It works. And get this, it has a USB port. Why? To charge my cell phone. It doesn't communicate from my cell phone to the coffee maker through the USB. It just is there to charge. So that's amazing. And I posted it on Facebook. I was so excited about it, of getting and it costs less than $50. So you know, I saved like $18. And my nephew says, "Well, will it make coffee?" I said, "Well, I don't even know. I didn't try that yet." But it does. It makes a beautiful cup of coffee. And I like it so much that I think I'm going to put it on my website and set up an affiliate program through Best Buy and start selling just a few of the products on my own website. Speaking of my website, I decided after watching a webinar a couple of weeks ago. The guy said at the end of the webinar, he said, my stuff is not free. Matter of fact, it's not even cheap. He said, if you want free, you want cheap, you're probably not going to get much value for what you're doing. And I got to thinking about that. You know, that was one of the problems with Linux. Linux is a wonderful operating system, but it's free. And people just thought, well, if it's free, it can't be any good. So I'm going to go to Microsoft, or I'm going to go to Apple, or I'm going to go someplace else. But the reality is most of the internet is running on Linux platforms. It is reliable. You don't have to boot it, reboot it, and reboot it. It's up and it runs. Most of the routers are Linux based. The Android phones are derivatives of Linux. And so Linux is good stuff, even though it was free, and that kept it back from being widely accepted. But that's old history now. But anyway, you can tell I'm passionate about a lot of things. All right, let's get back to the point of this particular video. I've forgotten why I'm even going to make this video. What was it? What was it I was doing? Oh yeah, to show off my plant. I just got me a new plant back here. My friend Jim brought it over. Dirty. Oh, I had to spend time cleaning it with Windex, and then I took the hose off the sink and I hosed it down, made a mess in my kitchen. But I think it looks pretty good back there, don't you? So I am loving what I'm doing right now. Back to the free. I had the word free on my business card because I thought, well, I'm going to be teaching other people. I'm not going to charge them anything for it. So I was advertising myself as a free service. Well, after hearing this guy on the webinar say, that's not a good idea, I decided I would change my whole concept. So I came home and I blacked out the word free, made it into a little arrow, and I'm too cheap to go buy new business cards, and that was another story associated with that part of it. Anyway, so now what I've decided to do is do fundraising for a cause that is dear to my heart. When my son was 17 years old, he's the youngest of 4. I've been married twice, with 2 children from each marriage. Youngest of 4, when he was 17 years old, he was diagnosed with glioblastoma multiforme. Now that's the same brain cancer that Ted Kennedy died of, and I believe it's the same brain cancer that Orrin Hatch has. Anyway, it's a killer. The prognosis was he live a year. The reality, he had 2 brain surgeries, chemotherapy, radiation. He got sicker and sicker, and he finally died with hospice care at home in his own bed, surrounded by friends and family. I think there were maybe a dozen of us there. Stayed most of the night until he passed from this life to the next. Now, that's been 14 years ago. That was 2003. And basically, I haven't done anything about it. I haven't picked it up as a passion to try to help kids live free of brain cancer or any kind of cancer or other illness. But I decided, well, if I change my concept of my website, I want to help people learn about this new digital currency called cryptocurrency, and I'm planning to do that at least a year, maybe longer. My health holds out. I'm 66 years old, and or 66 years young, and I hoping I'll live 10, 20 more years, but who knows. But right now, this year, this minute, this week, I am embedding in my YouTube videos, and this YouTube video will have a little up in the right hand corner up here. I don't know if it's right or left, but it'll have a little circle with an eye in it, and if you hover your mouse over that, it'll pop up a little Donate Now button. And the first one you're going to see is for St. Jude Hospital, Children's Hospital in Memphis, Tennessee, and they do a lot of research there, particularly over children's cancer. And then the other organization, which as you go further into my video, another little donate now button will pop up, and it will be for Friends of Kids with Cancer. Now that's a St. Louis based organization, and they don't do research, they're just there for social, for helping children and their families, getting them, you know, Lego toys or different kinds of things that they might not otherwise have. I found that organization was very helpful as Adam was going through his struggle. So those are my two passionate places. If you would like to donate to somebody else, that's fine. Just please let me know who and how much. The other thing, I have, I think I've got 8 right now, but I'm planning to have 10, maybe 20 products on my page. And I've got a WordPress website, which is very powerful, and I've e-commerce enabled it with WooCommerce, and this is all new to me, so I'm just learning. I wish Adam was around to help so he could pick up this stuff fast. But I'm struggling through it, and I've got it up and functional right now. So if you want to go to my website, and I'll post that on the description in this video of how to get there. I'm not going to bother about putting a QR code on there. I don't know how that works on a computer screen. But anyway, if you'll go to my site and take a look at it, get background on myself, find out a little bit about how I was involved with the early days of the microcomputer industry, especially the Apple II. My company became the very first company to distribute the Apple II back in like 1978. I remember Charles Weddington, the founder of our company, calling from California. He said he was at the West Coast Computer Fair. He said, I found this incredible computer. He said, I'm going to stay until I get a distribution contract with him. And he did. He brought back to Oklahoma City from Silicon Valley, San Francisco, where the fair was being done. He brought back serial number 17. It didn't even have a plastic case. It was just the metal bottom, the power supply, high efficiency switching power supply, which was unheard of back then. The Apple II motherboard, the little basic that was Wozniak whipped up, wasn't even floating point, just very, very simple basic. But the computer was so different that, well, it had color graphics. You could build your own little pixie-verter. Apple wouldn't build one because that was against the FCC regulations, but you could build your own little kit and hook it up to your color TV. And of course you didn't get a lot of characters, like 40 characters across, and the color wasn't all that beautiful. But it was there, and it was so far above the Trash 80, Radio Shack's TRS 80, but my favorite name was Trash, Commodore 64. Now Chuck Peddle designed the 6502 processor. I met him when he was in Dallas, Texas. We went down there and reserved a booth in the basement. They wouldn't let the microcomputer companies be up on the main floor. That's where all the mainframe guys were. But we were in the basement, and Chuck Peddle had the original Commodore PET there, which used the 6502 processor that he had designed. Apple used the 6502 for the Apple I and the Apple II. And my first computer that I built back in 1975-76, it's a little single board computer called an EBKA familiarizer, EBKA. It was very much like the KIM, K-I-M, that Mostek had. It was a little evaluator, but it had hexadecimal keypads, had little LEDs, and I could turn those LEDs on and off, make them chase around, do interesting little patterns. But computers like the Altair, where Bill Gates got his start, was dumb. That computer wouldn't do anything. It was about a 24-inch box by maybe 6 or 8 inches tall, and It had a huge power supply. It had, like, I don't know, the MSI, which was a competitor, had 22 slots, and each slot had 100 pins, and each card drew up to an amp of current. So if you can imagine, that thing had to have 22 slots times 1 amp each. That's 22, that's too much for me, 22 amps in the current of the power supply. And the capacitors were huge in there. I mean, one of those exploded, it would be serious. So, and Apple came out with a little, you know, dainty little switching power supply, very, very efficient and quiet. And yeah, I mean, it just, I fell in love with Apple. Apple. And our company grew like crazy. I remember that when I first started with the company, I was in the service department, because I realized that people someday would have trouble building a kit, or they wouldn't want to build a kit, and I would build them for them. So I started the service department. Later I moved into retail sales and became a sales manager. And that was about the time that we got into really selling the apples and developing software. We developed High Technology Inc., which is my company that I own part of, developed software that was sold under the Apple logo. Their business software. One was the controller, which was a, you know, general ledger, accounts receivable stuff, and the other was the cashier, which I beta tested in my store there on 23rd Street in Oklahoma City. Though back then, Apple, the logo was color stripes with a big bite out of it, and Apple II with the special little symbols for the two, which are like brackets, but they're flipped. Anyway, I decided I'm going to have that painted on the end of my store. And I did. I didn't ask for permission. Yeah, just did it. And didn't know if it would be approved for the co-op advertising or any of that. I did it, and I don't regret it. But I was Apple crazy. We grew to the point, we opened a retail store in Tulsa, a franchise in Lawton, Oklahoma. We opened a franchise in Wichita, Kansas. We had a second distribution center in St. Louis, Missouri, which I lived in Oklahoma. I was born and raised in Oklahoma, and my second wife is from Oklahoma City. And so we moved from there up to St. Louis after Apple terminated all 6 distributors. They only had 5 other distributors other than ourselves. And they decided, Apple decided it's cheaper to build our own distribution system than to buy the existing distributors. And since I owned, well, I guess I owned 9% of High Technology, and I had not a huge investment, but it was like $5,400, hard $1 investment in there. I was thinking, ooh, you know, maybe I can double my money there, and maybe I can get some Apple stock before they go public. And boy, I'm like, woo, maniac. So I was diagnosed manic depressive after this episode. But I've always wanted to be an inventor. When I was junior high, I would read books, Thomas Edison, Eli Whitney, Alexander Graham Bell, on and on and on about famous inventors. And that's what I wanted to do with my life. And I feel if I have any regrets, that's it. I've not left the world a better place. Like Thomas Edison, we got light bulbs because of him. We got a lot of other things. But on many of his things were failures. So we still don't have electric cars. No, well, kind of getting them now. But anyway, I'm rambling. I don't know why that I set out to create this video. I think it was to test my new setup. I just got myself a professional quality 6-input video switcher. And so I've got it hooked up, and I'm trying to get where I can do professional looking webinars for my traveling buddy, Greg. He's a chiropractor, and so we've done 2 or 3 little shoots so far, but I want to integrate in whiteboarding and some more sophisticated kind of stuff, and I want to improve my lighting. You can see a lot of shadows in here tonight. And I've got a 3-camera setup now. I don't have all 3 cameras. They're all shooting, but I don't have it where I'm switching, remote control switching between them. So I got to get that set up. So anyway, this is renewing my interest in photography. I really used to be really into photography, including shooting weddings, portraits, developing my own film, printing my own color prints, first I started with slides and then moved into color printing, and I really got involved. When I get into something, I'm in it, just immersed in whatever it is. And I did that with photography, now that digital cameras are out, and cell phones have decent cameras in them, I don't really get into that so much, but I still think about, the golden triangle and good composition, and what does it take to make a good picture, and I'm kind of breaking those rules. Of course, I've got my advertisement, the CryptoMan Can, help you understand, and see, I've got this backwards, help you understand Bitcoin, cryptocurrency, and hundreds and hundreds of more. Hundreds and hundreds. I want to say thousands and thousands, but I realized I went to Binance, which like finance but with a B. This is a Chinese online exchange, crypto exchange, and they have, I counted them, I think they had 104 or 106 different cryptos that you could buy using Bitcoin. Now they had another 75 or 80 that you could buy using Ethereum, and they had more that you could buy using Litecoin, and they had more that you could buy using their own coin, which is called BNB, I think. And that's the way that works. Is you can't just they're in pairs, so you can't just go out and buy crypto coins with USD cash or with some other type of cash. You have to take your cash, convert that into a currency, or not currency, a cryptocurrency like Bitcoin or Litecoin or whatever, and then transfer that from the exchange that you started in to the exchange you want to trade in. Now, there are lots and lots of exchanges. I have no idea how many exchanges there are out there. I know some have disastrously gone under, like Mt. Gox. Some have been hacked, but there are some good ones out there. I think Coindex is Coinbase is a good one, and GDAX, which is also owned by Coinbase. Coinbase fees. Coinbase is simple. It's a great place to start. They accept your fiat currency, and you can transfer from your checking or savings or credit union account up to them. And they used to take credit cards, but I just saw something recently saying that the credit card processing fees have just jumped a lot. So it might not make sense to buy crypto using a credit card if you want to avoid fees. Now, speaking of fees, Coinbase has a basic fee of 1.5% on any transactions within their own exchange. Now, how many cryptos can you buy? They only sell four, count them, 1, 2, 3, 4. They sell the original Bitcoin, the Bitcoin Cash, which is a split, like a stock split, but they call it a hard fork, F-O-R-K, like what you eat with. And then they have Ethereum, which has been around for a while, and it's ETH, and I keep misspelling it. Ethereum, probably mispronouncing it too. And they have Litecoin, Litecoin, and its code is LTC. So that is the only 4 currently that you can get from Coinbase. Now, here's some good news. Coinbase is located in USA. They've been around, founded in 2012. They have a second online exchange called GDAX. That's GDAX.com. Now, you can, since Coinbase owns both of those, you can freely move your money from one to the other and back with no fee. Now that is cool. So my strategy, put my money into Coinbase. It's easy to use. Transfer all of my money from there over to GDAX, and it is much, much more technical. I can do things with GDAX that you can't do with Coinbase, like buy on a limit order, good till close limit order. And matter of fact, at GDAX right now, and this may change, but right now there's no fee at all for a limit order. And the others, that when you sell, there's a 0.25% fee. Okay, and the fee structure kind of has scales to it and stuff, but and you can read all that on their site. I don't have any of that posted on my website, but I can put links. I have links to all of the tracking sites. I have links to all of my videos. I have links to the 7 exchanges that I have had experience with. And since I've had experience with, I haven't had real bad experiences yet. I did freeze one of my accounts and I was locked out of it for a month. So that was a pain. Fortunately, I only had 1 crypto in there, and I really didn't need to sell it or do anything with it. But it was bugging me that I couldn't get into my own account. And I even opened a second account with the same exchange with a different email address. And one of the things I've noticed is that some of the exchanges, because of the rapid growth in December, some of the exchanges halted new members, and they just couldn't handle it until they upgraded their platforms. So a number of the exchanges I couldn't get into. I don't remember exactly which ones it was, but and I haven't checked lately to see if I can open new accounts. But one of the things I did notice is the last accounts, 2 or 3 that I opened, required a much more strict verification process. And almost all of them require, or they recommend, highly recommend, 2-step verification. And if you don't know what that is, you should find out. Because what it is they either send you a text message, and then with a code, which you put in, that verifies that you are the person and you are in possession of your phone. The other one is like a Google, I think some other company makes one, but Google has like an authenticator software. You download it, run it on your phone, and that when you go to the site, and again, a QR code, and you beep the code, and it will put on there a link to that site. So the next time you go to sign in, you pass your password. In the case of Binance, they have an extra little, like a puzzle piece that you drag across and drop. Some of them have gotchas or catches or something saying, "I'm not a robot." But after that part, initial, then they ask you for your 2-step verification code, and it's a 6-digit number, and it changes every few seconds. So you look at your phone, and you take the number, and you type it in quickly, and boom, you go ahead and log in. So that is a much higher level of security. Now, while I'm on security, let me point this out. I haven't done it yet, but I intend to. I just don't want to spend the $200 or $300 it's going to cost me to do it. When your crypto is in an exchange, that does not mean that it's safe. Okay? That exchange could go bankrupt, it could get hacked, there's a lot of things that could happen. So they have things, there are, like Coinbase has a wallet for Bitcoin, a wallet for each of their 4, Bitcoin Cash, Ether, and Litecoin, and they have one called the USD wallet. Now, what's neat about the USD wallet is it is dollar for dollar. You put $100 in there, it's worth $100. So it's not subject to market volatility like the others are. Then now they also have, on Coinbase, they have a Bitcoin safe, I think it's called. So you can put your money into that, and that offers a higher degree of safety. However, you're still not protected from market volatility in that. So to really be safe, you need to explore what they call hard wallets. There are cold wallets and there are hot wallets. Okay, I think that's the right terminology. A hot wallet is one that may be on your computer, may be in your exchange, and you have instant access to the money. But you don't have as much protection. A cold wallet, like ones, for example, Amazon sells at least 3 of them. The top one is called the Ledger, L-E-D-G-E-R. They were out of stock last time I checked them, and it's like between $200 and $300. It's like a little USB card, looks to me like, but it's a piece of hardware, and that hardware protects your crypto assets. Of course, if you lose the device, you've lost your crypto assets, so it needs to be protected. But the other brands, I don't remember what they are. One's called Tezor, T-E-Z-O-R, I think, and the other one's something key to it. But you can Google, and it'll show you the top 3 or top 5 cold wallets. Then there's another kind of wallet, which is super simple and super cheap, and that's a paper wallet. You simply print out your secret codes and you store that wallet somewhere safe. Like if you have a fireproof safe, you have a safety deposit box at your bank, then that is the cheapest way of protecting your cryptos from being stolen by a hacker online, because there's no way they have access to any of those methods, the cold wallets or the paper wallet. But if you've got your crypto stored in wallets, the hot wallets that are either on your computer, laptop, phone, one of the exchanges, then they're subject to being stolen. So I don't want to scare you about it. It's also brand new. People were very fearful about computers in the beginning. I went to a lot of schools, and it was like educating the educator, teaching them this is what a CPU is, this is what memory is, this is what RAM is, this is what ROM is, this is I/O. To have a computer, you got to have all these basic functions. Just like to be a human being, you have to have arms and brain, and well, maybe you don't have to have all those, but it's nice to be a complete human being, to have all the functioning, parts of your body. In my case, my brain kind of goes, woo, depends on the medication that I'm taking. It's funny, the first time that I was diagnosed manic depressive, the doctor wanted to put me on lithium. And I said, well, I really want to be an inventor. Now this was when I was young, 26, 27 years old. And I said, what happens if I'm on lithium? He said, well, your personality won't have big swings, won't have highs and lows. You'll just be kind of steady. I said, I don't want that. I don't want anything to do with that. I love being manic. I feel like I've got so much energy. I can do all-nighters. I stayed up working all night, not partying all night. But and I just feel like I'm so productive when I'm on a manic high. But then sometimes I crash and, you know, things are not so good anymore. So anyway, right now you're experiencing part of my mania. And I hope you'll forgive me for that if I don't sound believable. That's definitely one of the negatives of creating a YouTube or doing sales presentation or anything when I'm in this kind of an agitated, manic state. But as soon as I finish this, I'm going to go work on my manuscript. Here I am, 66 years old. I've never written a book. I flunked out of English. When I went straight from high school, I went to Votech for 2 years, studied electronics, mostly to avoid things like English and speech and drama. And then I went from Madill, Oklahoma to Stillwater, Oklahoma, which is where my brother got his PhD from. Well, I went there thinking, I'll follow his footsteps, and I'll major in electronics, and I got there. Second semester, the counselor calls me and he says, I guess I went by Kenneth back then, or Ken. He said, you have 17 hours of F. He said, the way I see it, you got three choices. Three. It's hard for me to get my hand over here. Three choices. One, you're paid up through the end of the semester. Can't get the right finger. Paid up through the end of the semester. He said, so you could just stay in the dorm, keep partying the way you are now, then go home at the end of the semester. Number two choice, you could go to classes, you could try to learn something, but you're not going to be able to pull up any of these grades. That's just an impossibility. And I don't remember what the third choice was, but that first choice sounded great to me. I'll just party and stay here through the end of the semester, and that's what I did. And I met my wife at a movie called The Graduate. Little did I know that her dad was the projectionist upstairs. But me and my roommate went to the movie, and we met who became my wife, and another girl. Turned out, I didn't know this at the time, but turned out my wife wasn't interested in me. She was interested in my roommate. So didn't find that out until years after we were divorced. But anyway, I am going to stop because I've run out of things to say. That hardly ever happens to me. But thank you for however much of this you listen to. Again, I remind you about the donate buttons. And if you do donate something, even $1, I have things on my website for $1. I have ink pens for $1. And you don't have to send me any money. If you want ink pens, I'll send you ink pens, or whatever. I got these cool little razor blade knives. They're called Cutsit, and they probably not safe to fly with, but they're great box cutters, and they just fit on your key ring. And I got one at a trade show in Las Vegas, kept it for years and years and years. And then when I was a marketing manager at Wang Laboratories, I bought, 500 of them or something, and handed them out. And so I had those for years. So here I am sitting with 250 of those in inventory right now. And I was looking for those, and I found them on Amazon. And you know what? They are $15 for 3 of them. So they're not cheap. They're not cheap, but if you want one, I will send you one for free with my business card attached. Okay, that's the way I'm promoting them at trade shows and things. I hand out my business card, and it's got a Cutsit knife attached to it. And yeah, that's costing me a few bucks, but I'm having fun, and I think, like my mentor, and I don't know if I said this already in this video, but a mentor that lived in Texas. He's a salesman, author. His name is Zig Ziglar. He used to go around the country doing motivational speeches. He said many times, and I quote this, I've got it on a business card, if you help enough other people get what they want, you can have anything you want. And the way he says it is, if you help, H-E-P, help enough other people get what they want. Yeah, a good old boy from Texas. I miss him, but he was very influential in my life. So I'm honoring him by putting that on my business card. Okay, thanks for watching. Remember, I'm Kenny Philip Sliger, the Crypto Man. Can help you understand Bitcoin, cryptocurrency, hundreds and hundreds of altcoins, and ICOs. When I learn about ICOs, I'll share that information with you too, through my blog, my website, whenever maybe we meet at some trade show or whoever knows. Thanks for watching. Bye.